everyone, welcome back to another video. This video is another fanfic reading. So I haven't done this in a while. I wanted to get a camera back again, or at least my tablet, which I have right here, which I'm making videos with now. That's really the reason I started my hiatus in the first place for roughly a month, But unfortunately, I won't be able to continue the fanfic reading that I was doing on Beside Himself by Sly Lady 345 because she is leaving fanfiction.net, unfortunately, which is really sad because I really enjoyed her writing, or at least her Sly story. She did write a couple of Kingdom Hearts ones. I have never played a Kingdom Hearts game, so obviously I didn't actually read them, but I was a really big fan of Beside Himself, and it's going to be kind of sad that not only will I not be able to continue reading it on here, but I won't be able to continue reading it, period. So, yeah. Anyways, I have another one here. I did get permission to read this by the author. Sorry, I asked last July, and I'm just getting around to making it now. Go figure. So yes, this is Scarlet Fox, which is by a fanfic writer that I am a really big fan of on fanfiction.net, called KnightMysterio, who I originally found KnightMysterio on the Sly 3 boards, I think it was. The Sly 3 game pack boards, in which he was writing a Sly 4 story, essentially. And he got pretty far into it. Basically, there were like a lot before the time travel and the time travel, and I'm not sure if there would have been anything after, but he did get really far into the time travel. In fact, I think he was going to do all the Coopers in order, and I think he got to like Slay McCooper or something, a little ways in there, not too much, but then he ended up stopping it because of his disinterest. Alright, which is sad because it was really good, but it's fine, whatever. So then I ended up finding him on fanfiction.net as well. He has 2 Sly stories. I'll be reading them both, although they're both still ongoing, and this one he hasn't updated since 2011. So, yeah, but there's a total of 4 chapters out so far, and each one's really long, so this should take a little while. Like always, I'll be doing 1 chapter per video. Alright. And sorry about that, I just wanted to get that done. That's it for that. Okay. And so this is called Scarlet Fox by KnightMysterio. Let me read the description here of the story. In the aftermath of Sly's amnesia being revealed as fake, a confrontation with insane worshippers of clockwork leads to tragedy for the Cooper gang. But is the tragedy real, or is it all part of another plan 1 years in the making? Rated Fiction T. It's English. It's suspense mystery. Carmelita Fox. And there's 4 chapters out so far. Words 4,063. 22 reviews. Don't remember if I've actually left a review myself or not, but 21 favorites, 18 follows. Published November 22nd, 2009, and that's when it began. And it was updated September 4th, 2011, so almost 3 years. So yes, Scarlet Fox's Chapter 1, The Death of Carmelita Montoya Fox. Paris, France. A lone figure sat on the rooftop of Paris, overlooking Interpol headquarters. His dark gray fur and blue shirt and hat helped him to blend in with the night sky, the only thing standing out being the yellow thing on his gloves and the red pouch wrapped around his leg. A wooden cane with a gold hook in the shape of a stylized C lay beside him. He started. He stared longingly into the building, his brown eyes tinged with sadness as he stared at the fox inside, busily working away at her desk. He, his black striped tail was curled around him. A, a turtle in an armored wheelchair rolled up to him, his eyes hidden by thick glasses. "Are you going to be okay, Sly?" The raccoon sighed. I guess. I should have known it couldn't last." The turtle frowned. "How did it happen? You and Carmelita were together for a little over a year." Sly shrugged. "Someone higher up than Inspector Barkley called us on it, slipped me up with a question that I could only know if I remembered everything. I had to get out, make it look like I was just using Carmelita to get at some Interpol secrets." Sorry if I'm stuttering a lot. I do stutter a lot when I read out loud, unfortunately. The turtle nodded. How's she taking it?" Sly sighed. "I don't know, Bentley. They've had her on desk work ever since I was found out a month ago. I don't know how she's doing or how her job is going. All my usual entryways have been blocked." Sly looked up at the turtle. You didn't have to get back together just for me. I know that you, Penelope, and the others all had your own lives after the Cane Island mess." Bentley chuckled. "I guess. But honestly, Sly, we all missed you. Even Panda King and Dimitri." Sly chuckled. "Those two showing up again surprised me." Bentley sighed. "Well, they didn't come without purpose. Dimitri heard about you getting found out and got it in his head that he was going to comfort you about day better to have loved and lost and to never have loved at all, or something like that. God damn it, Dimitri. I really hate you." I'm just kidding. I love Dimitri, but seriously, he's annoying sometimes. Sly scowled. "Better to have..." It's a stupid phrase. He should try being in love first before saying junk like that. Bentley nodded, thinking of his relationship with Penelope. At any rate, Panda King came back because he needs a favor. Sly nodded. "His daughter, right?" Bentley chuckled. "Yeah, she ran off. Finally got tired of her dad chasing off every guy that came to call. She took his spare cannon and a lot of materials for fireworks, as well as some of his flame foo scrolls before disappearing." Sly rolled his eyes and sighed. "We better go help look for her, then," he said, standing up and picking up his cane, staring sadly at Carmelita's window. "I'm sorry, Carmelita. I just wanted to be with you. I never wanted to hurt you like this." Bentley and Sly headed down into the safe house. As they did, they missed Carmelita's boss heading into her office and talking with her for a bit, the two of them heading out of the building for a case. Sly and Bentley took the elevator down to the floor the gang was standing on, chatting idly. Sly was trying to keep in his mind off of his mistake with Carmelita, talking about probable capers for the gang now that they were back together. They missed entirely when Winthrop, Carmelita's assistant, came rushing into Carmelita's office. Due to the noise of the celebration down below, they didn't notice either when Carmelita's car, along with several others, sped off. When Bentley and Sly arrived in the room, the Cooper gang, they found their teammates staring in shock at a TV screen. Murray noticed them and waved them over. "You better take a look at this, guys," he said. On the screen were reports of a group of cultists known as Clockwork's Children. They had taken hostages and were planning a ritual sacrifice to try and bring back their leader, using recreated parts of his body to act as his soul's host. Panda King scowled. "Obsessive lunatics," he muttered. Bentley frowned, stroking his chin and not looking away from the screen. "You know these crazies?" Panda King, huge and imposing, nodded. Indeed, shortly after the death of Sly's parents, Clockwork's megalomania had progressed to the point where he had started to believe himself a god. Others who shared this belief gathered around him. They helped building his lair in the volcano. The mere presence of these nihilistic fools is part of the reason Ruby, Mugshot, Raleigh, and I left Clockwork's side to start our own projects. Sly smirked, idly twirling his cane. Well, nothing like a little stress relief to start the evening right. What say we all head over to the hotel they're commandeering and see how many of them Murray can hit at once with a single thunder flop. Murray grinned, loving the idea and thumping his fist into his palm. Bentley shook his head. I don't know, Sly. Something about this feels off, like it's a trap. Sly rolled his eyes. If we're careful, we won't trigger it. When have we not gotten out of bad situations? Bentley just quirked his eyebrow. Sly chuckled. Okay, but you rescued us all by yourself, remember? I still owe you for that one, buddy. Bentley smirked. Well, I guess we can get going. I have my own issues I want to work out with anyone connected to that blasted owl. The gang packed up and headed out, taking the back route to the hotel, the Ches Paris. Bentley and Penelope hacked into the hotel's system, stealing data they needed. Penelope looked over the blueprints of the building and nodded, sending out her remote-controlled helicopter to check out potential entrances for traps. Also, as she did, Guru spoke to Murray, a deep frown on his wise face. "Huh? Something's gonna happen. Something bad's gonna happen," Murray said. Something bad's gonna happen?" Murray said, frowning. Guru nodded, speaking some more. Murray frowned. "We'll be careful, Master. Don't worry. It's not us I'm worried about," Guru said. Penelope's scout helicopter returned. She retrieved the footage it took and nodded. "Okay, Sly. We've got a way for you to get in and eventually let us in as well. They got some kind of tech rigging on the main doorways, but Bentley delivered a gadget that can allow him to remotely hack them. All you need to do is get in through the vents, set up the rigging, and keep them away from the device until Bentley hacks through," she said. Doomed to be typecast, doomed to be typecast as the bait forever. I see. Sly quipped, earning a chuckle from most of the others. See you all inside, he said. He got out of the van and clambered up a nearby pipe towards the vent Penelope had specified. Bentley called out to him, Be careful and quick. We want to go and rescue the hostages whom these losers whomp these losers and swipe what we can from them before the cops get here." Sly rolled his eyes. "Yes, Mom," he teased, wriggling into the vent. He slid his slender frame through the air vent, eventually coming out in one of the upper hallways overlooking the lobby. "Little straightforward," Sly muttered as he wriggled free of the vent. Not that many twists and turns. Such bad ventilation in this hotel. He looked down into the lobby, pulling out his binocular cone and zooming in on the cultists that are all armed with automatic weapons and holding terrified hostages in the center. Each cultist was clad in a black robe with clockwork's owl head and gear insignia on the back. Their species masked by the hoods. Sly scowled, remembering all the misery that Owl had put him through, the agony that people actually and angry that people actually worshipped the monstrosity. Shaking his head, he refocused on his work. He sulked by several armed cultists, ducking behind trash cans and pillars whenever a guard passed by. He eventually made his way close to the back door, spotting a high-tech locking mechanism being guarded by a burly guard wielding a sword and machine gun. "Marvelous," Sly muttered. He hung back for a moment, thinking about what to do, sitting down and crossing his arms thoughtfully. After a moment, he noticed that the lid of the nearby metal trash can was loose. Smirking, he picked up the can lid and threw it, the arc carrying it above the guard's head. The lid flew into the darkness of the nearby hallway. The guard blinked and hesitated for a moment. Sly smirked. "Egads, a guard with actual brains." A few moments more of hesitating, the guard went to investigate the sound. So much for brains. At least he had it for a minute, Sly thought. Quickly, he moved over to the electronic lock on the door, adding the splice clip Bentley gave him. Back in the rather crowded Cooper van, Bentley nodded as data started flowing into his laptop. "All right," he said, hacking through the locking system. He began to type, working his way through the various barrier programs set up. Sly frowned at the clip, a large, obvious device attached to the otherwise subtle lock. He had to keep the guards away from it while Bentley hacked his way in. He quickly dashed out behind the guard and ducked under a table, debating on what to do. A pillar of guards passed by the table, their legs bare underneath their robe, and a wicked grin came across his face. When a guard passed by, he discreetly reached out with his cane and tripped the nearest cultist. The cultist yelped and glared at his buddy, who just gave him a confused look. The tripped guard shook his head and resumed his pacing. Sly bit back a snicker. When the two passed by each other again, he hit the other cultist in the foot. Ow! What was that for? The cultist snapped at his partner. I didn't do anything, the first cultist snapped. You're the one who tripped me earlier. Oh, bullshit. You stepped on my foot just now. I did no such thing. The first cultist paused, something dawning on him. When he went silent, Sly felt a chill run through him. Egads, they're actually smart, he thought worriedly. This may be a teensy bit harder than originally planned. Sly braced himself, ready to move at a moment's notice. Sure enough, a minute later, the two cultists lifted the table up. Sly, quick as a flash, swung his cane, swatting the guns out of their hands. Anyone ever tell you the robbed look is out? Sly said, smirking at the two stunned cultists. Before they could recover their wits, Sly knocked them out with a well-placed strike of his cane. He prepared to bolt before he was noticed, but apparently the two guards had signaled their associates. Sly found himself facing dozens of cultists wielding guns, all aimed at him. The cultist leader came forward, a tall man with vaguely ursine features, wearing robes that were adorned with winged armor. We've been expecting you, Sly Cooper. The cultists are nice to be wanted, Sly quipped, folding his arms casually and smirking in the cultist leader's face. The cult leader chuckled. Flippant, even in the face of death. Indeed, you were a worthy foe for our lord. Sly sneered. Your lord was an outright psychopath, a lunatic whose insanity led him to exchange his fur hood for steel as cold as the void where his heart would be. The cult leader slapped Sly. The raccoon just chuckled, wincing a little from the pain in his jaw. Hit a bit of a nerve, did I? The cult leader growled. You will not speak of our lord in so flippant a manner again. Sly's eyes widened in amusement as he heard a familiar hissing sound. He turned back to the cult leader and grinned wildly. Actually, I think I will. Many times over. The cult leader gave him a confused look. What are you babbling? He was interrupted when a firework hit him in the back, exploding in a flash of color and sending him flying past Sly, the raccoon easily dodging out of the way. Soon after, Panda King's thunderous voice echoed throughout the hall. Servants of evil, Panda King roared, you shall not harm these innocents, for the Cooper gang has come to put an end to you. Sly looked over to the back of the lobby, seeing Panda King and Murray leading the charge for the rest of the gang. Almost immediately after Panda King finished speaking, several more fireworks launched from the tube on his back, exploding in a flash of bright colors, blinding the cultists. Sly took advantage of this and dashed over to where the hostages were being held, quickly taking out the guards with well-placed knocks to the head. He used the cane's hook to cut through the ropes binding him. "Run," he said immediately. The hostages hesitated for a moment, unsure what to make of the bandit rescuing them, but decided to take advantage of their freedom, thanking him as they ran for the side exits. Sly looked back at the others. Murray was running up a stairwell for a moment. Sly thought he was running away, but Sly was grinning widely soon after, as Murray leaped over the railing with a loud cry of "Thunderflop." From the sound of it, he took out a good number of cultists. Penelope had gotten behind a desk, using her remote control chopper to fire stickly bombs at cultists, gluing them to the floor. She was starting to falter, though, as the cultists were coming closer and closer to her chopper with each shot. Bentley was protecting her, having mined the area around the desk and occasionally tossing the remote control mines out at a cultist that got too close. Guru was controlling one of the cultists, a large burly hippo, making him run around crazily, trampling his comrades. The confusion it was causing was hilarious to watch. Even Guru seemed amused. Dimitri was using his taser ring to full effect. The lounge lizard, a surprisingly good hand-to-hand combatant. And Panda King was flat out dominating the field, a living volcano. He bellowed in fury with each strike. His frustration at the loss of his daughter, his shame at the past, and his rage at Clockwork for using him, fueling his flame foo. Sly chuckled, preparing to run over to join him, when a powerful hand grabbed him, throwing him up against a wall. Sly winced, pain rippling through his back. He picked himself up as best he could, looking up at the face of his attacker, the cult leader. The bear growled fiercely. "You, the nemesis, and the traitor, all here," he snarled, laughing insanely. "This is too good. I will kill you all in one foul swoop." Sly sighed and gritted his teeth, gripping his cane tightly and dropping into a fighting stance, knowing he'd be in for a fight. At which point the front door busted open. A very familiar and very welcome voice bellowed, "Everybody freeze!" The cult leader and Sly whirled, Sly grinning widely as he saw Carmelita, shock pistol at the ready, and the head of a veritable army of Interpol agents. The cult started firing at the police, and an aging bloodhound pointed at the bear. "There's the leader. Take him out, Constable Fox," he bellowed. "Yes, sir, Carmelita." Hey guys, welcome back. So this is gonna be in the same video. Sorry about that cut there. I realized that my tablet here only had like 2% of life left, so I had to charge it. So it's just gonna be in the same video. I'm not, like I said before, I'm just doing one chapter per video. Anyways, though, this is actually the next night for me, so I'm trying to see here exactly. There's a leader taking out council walks. He bellowed. Okay. Obviously, this is immediate for you guys, though. But anyways. Yes, sir, Carmelita said, dashing toward the bear, who growled savagely and charged her, ignoring the shock pistol shots. Sly felt a sharp pain go through his heart at what the bloodhound called her. Constable? She was demoted because of me? He started to run to help her when a loud cry from Bentley caught his attention. A particularly vicious-looking alligator cultist had gotten past the bombs, Bentley's remote-controlled chopper in wreckage. The cultist's robes were in smoldering tatters, but he didn't seem to care, as he had both Bentley and Penelope in a cruel chokehold. Sly shook his head angrily and ran to help his friends. Leaping up onto the cultist's back, he slipped his cane underneath the alligator's chin and yanked back hard, choking out the massive cultist. He gagged, dropping Bentley and Penelope, the mouse helping Bentley back into the chair as best he could. After a few moments, the cultist collapsed for lack of air, and Sly let him go. Get out of here, he said. Things are getting hot, and the cops can handle the rest as well as the remade clockwork parts. Bentley nodded. I agree. Can you pull the others out? Sly nodded. Go, Penelope. Make sure he gets out safely. Penelope nodded. Will do, Sly. See you back at the van, she said, wheeling Bentley's chair out, the automated motors damaged by the cultist. Sly turned to the others. Murray and Dimitri were holding their own, but Panda King and Guru were starting to be overwhelmed. Guru's host had been shot, the pacifist priest having to run for his life. Sly quickly ran to his aid, throwing down a smoke bomb to cover his escape, escorting him to the exit. Guru gave Sly a worried look as he left, the lithe young raccoon easily dodging shock pistol blasts from the cops as they took out the horde of cultists. The feeling that something bad was about to happen was getting worse. Sly closed in on the Panda King, who was now fighting off the largest of the cultists, a polar bear twice his size. It was clear Panda King was tiring, his body bearing several claw scars and bruises that showed up through his fur, as well as some burn scars from shock pistol blasts that had strayed toward him. Sly snuck up behind the cultist and swung his cane as hard as he could, striking the cultist in the kidneys. The cultist roared in agony from the blow, turning on Sly. Panda King took advantage of this, throwing the last of his fireworks in the launcher and firing them at point-blank range in the cultist's face. The polar bear collapsed, Panda King falling to his knees. Sly knocked out an Interpol agent that tried to come up and arrest them, and helped Panda King to his feet. You okay, big guy? Sly asked, worried. Panda King nodded. I will be. I think maybe this plan was ill-advised. Sly grinned weakly. Yeah, I guess. You know me, though. Anything to spit in Clockwork's face. Panda King chuckled. I will meet you in the van, Sly Cooper, he rumbled, running for the back door as best he could. Sly quickly looked around the field as he headed over to Dimitri. Cultists were being taken out by shock pistol blasts by the dozen. Murray and Dimitri were still holding their own, although Dimitri's suit was singed in several places by shock pistol blasts. Murray noticed him and nodded. We heading out? He called him, knocking out a cultist and then picking him up to use as a shield from shot pistol blasts. Sly nodded. Yeah, the cops can handle the rest of these bozos. Nothing to steal here anyways. Got it, Murray said. You head out. I'll get to meet you to the van. Start it up for me so we can get going the moment I take the wheel. Sly grinned. You got it, buddy, he said. He turned to run for the exit when he heard Carmelita cry out. The cult leader had stabbed her in the side and was looming over her with a large sacrificial knife. Laughing madly, Carmelita was on the ground, clutching her bleeding side, barely able to keep her shock pistol aimed at the man. No, Sly, love overdriving any sense of self-preservation and instinct. Actually, I think that is kind of a form of instinct, but that's getting off topic here. Sly charged the cult leader, running full tilt, ignoring anything in his path. Shock pistol blasts missed him by millimeters as he ran, leaping up and striking the cultist in the face with a blow that would have shattered any normal cane, sending him spiraling away from Carmelita. Sly went to help Carmelita, gently helping the fox to her feet. Sly? She said, dazed. It's all right, he said. I'll get you out of here. I'm so sorry, Carmelita. I didn't know that things would get this bad for you. Carmelita stared at Sly, horror growing on her face. You weren't supposed to be here. You shouldn't be here. Sly blinked, confused. Carmelita, what? She shook her head, her thoughts muddled. Sly, you need to get out of here now. They were waiting for you, she said, her voice uncharacteristically frantic. Sly frowned. Well, I kind of figured that would be. Carmelita shook her head. No, you don't understand. These are suicide cultists. They're all rigged to blow up once you showed up. Sly blinked, confused, and looked around. Interpol agents were working on disarming vests on all of the cultists they had arrested. Murray and Dimitri had apparently noticed this and were fighting the cultists more cautiously. Sly's eyes widened in fright. Explode? The cult leader staggered to his feet, throwing off his armor and pulling open his robes, revealing a vest of TNT strapped to his chest. That's right, Cooper, he laughed. And now I can take care of both of the fiends who killed our Lord. No, Carmelita screamed. She threw off Sly, tackling the cult leader and pushing him back into a nearby room, slamming the door behind them. Sly stood there for a moment, too stunned to think. Then he started to run towards the door, which was promptly blown towards him when the cultist exploded. Sly was thrown backwards, tumbling end over end as he crashed into a door on the other side of the room. Coughing, thoughts of Carmelita overriding his instincts, he pulled himself to his feet. His entire body was in pain from the blast, and he coughed up blood. He staggered to his feet, crossing the room again, picking his way into the rubble of the room. He saw a destroyed mattress and guessed that Carmelita must have tried to muffle the blast somehow, which explained why the room wasn't as destroyed as it could have been. He took note of it for only a second before looking around the room looking for Carmelita. And he saw her. His heart shattered at the sight before him. The blue-haired fox woman lay lifelessly, her body twisted at an odd angle. The fur on her back was blackened, bits of shrapnel sticking out of her body. "Oh no," he moaned, slowly turning her over, staring into her lifeless eyes, her expression frozen in one of pain and shock. Tears flowed freely down Sly's face as he held Carmelita's face in his hands. "Oh God, no. Please, don't let it end like this," he moaned. He gently put her on her back and began to give her mouth to mouth, frantically doing chest compressions, sobbing desperately. "Please, I'm so sorry, Carmelita. Please, God, don't let it end like this." Dimitri ran into the room. "Crackerbox, let's go. Murray's already did the dear God. Murray's done. I'll just say that." He snapped, trailing off when he noticed Carmelita's body. "Can't leave her," Sly said, his voice frantic. I have to save her." Dimitri shook his head, gently putting his hand on Sly's shoulder. "Sly, it's over. She's gone. We need to get moving, or we be gone too." "She's not gone," Sly snarled, glaring at Dimitri through tear-streaked eyes as he threw off his hand. I can still save her. I can still make things right for us both. I can." Dimitri stared at Sly in shock, at the guilt and despair in his voice. He twitched when he heard the police approaching and sighed. "I don't have time to argue with you, Crackerbox," he said, charging his tasering. "You'll thank me for this later." Dimitri punched Sly, the tasering electrocuting the already battered raccoon into unconsciousness. Dimitri picked up Sly and quickly got out through the window, dodging the Interpol agents scattered about as they secured the perimeter, slowly closing on the back where the Cooper van waited. He found the van waiting, a frantic and very angry Bentley waiting for them inside. "Finally! What took you so long? They're almost here," Bentley snapped. "Complications. Get us out of here," Dimitri muttered as he set down Sly, not in the mood. Murray frowned, remembering his master's concerns from earlier, but revved the van engine, quickly heading off just as the Interpol agents came through the door. They did. Excuse me. Bentley stared at Sly's battered form for a moment and frowned. Murray said they were all wearing bomb vests. What happened in there? Why is Sly unconscious? Dimitri sighed, sitting down on the floor of the van and lighting a cigarette. Bentley frowned deeply. A bomb went off in there. What happened? Was Sly caught in the explosion? Someone was, Dimitri muttered. Guru gave Dimitri a sad look, suddenly understanding. A look of horror appeared on Murray's face as he suddenly realized. Last I saw of Sly, he was going over to help Carmelita with the cult leader. Was she? Dimitri sighed, nodding. A chill ran through the collected members of the Cooper gang. Bentley's normally lightning-fast mind froze, unable to wrap itself around the concept of Carmelita Fox, Sly's love interest, and the longtime rival of the Cooper gang being dead. Murray remembered how nice she was to them. She was dedicated to her job, but she wasn't mean about it. She really did care for Sly. He could tell, and he gave him jelly beans to eat when he had him prisoner one time, even though she didn't have to. Penelope had been a little jealous of Carmelita at first, before she had gotten over her schoolgirl crush on Sly, but she had respected the dedication she had to her job and the risks she was willing to take to bring in lawbreakers and stop madmen like Dr. M. She had grown new appreciation for her when she heard that Carmelita herself had come up with the scam to make Sly her partner in Interpol. It hadn't worked out, but she had confidence that she and Sly would finally find some way to get back together. That hope was gone now, having died with Carmelita. Panda King remembered Carmelita as an honorable woman. She had personally arranged for his daughter to visit him in prison, which led to his eventual parole and subsequently put him on the path to redemption for his past sins. He said a silent prayer for her in Chinese. Dimitri's memories of Carmelita were less fond, but he respected Sly's feelings for her and knew that he would be hurting once he woke up, and would try to hurt him for taking him away from Carmelita. But he knew that he was in the right, and he had a feeling that Carmelita would appreciate him for saving Sly from being arrested, at least by anyone other than her. Penelope was the first to recover her voice. So what now? Bentley shook his head, clearing his mind enough to function. There's a doctor at the local hospital who owes us a favor. We stole back important keepsake of his late wife and daughters that a bunch of local mobsters had taken as protection payment, and he said he'd give us a free medical care whenever we needed it. No questions asked. No turning us in. Murray nodded. I'll get us there. The gang drove off in silence, heading for the hospital to take care of Sly's wounds. Long chapter. Elsewhere, later, the Bloodhound agent that had led the charge in the hotel pressed his palm to a scanner, the only unique feature in the cold, dark corridor. He waited patiently, his dark brown fur almost blending in with the copper-colored metal of the hall. The door opened and he walked into the medical lab where several doctors were working frantically on a patient. Is she almost cleaned up? He said, his voice colder than glacial ice. The doctor nodded. We're just finishing up now. The shrapnel is removed. Her wounds are stitched up and her fur has been restored. Thankfully, aside from a little bruising, there's no bone damage. Good thing that explosion wasn't all that powerful. So she'll retain full mobility then, the Bloodhound stated. She won't need enhancement or prosthetics. Yes, yes, Agent Morris, the doctor said. The tabby cat smile pathetically. She'll need recovery time from her ordeal, of course. But from all accounts, this deception went off perfectly. So we have plenty of time for that. Agent Morris nodded, looking at the clock on the wall. Do we have time to revive her? He said, looking back down at the nude corpse of Carmelita Montoya Fox laying on the table. The doctor nodded, pulling out a syringe. We're down to the wire, but we still have time before the effects of the fake death pill becomes permanent. He said. He tapped the bubbles out of the golden liquid in the syringe and injected it into Carmelita's heart. The doctor injected the whole contents of the syringe in and then removed it, stepping away. There was a long, tense moment as there seemed to no effect. Carmelita lay there lifelessly, not moving. Then, so suddenly that the doctors in the room all jumped back in fright, she sat up, taking a long, gasping breath. Agent Mortis stared at her emotionlessly. "You are well, then?" Carmelita wheezed for a moment, trying to catch her breath and get used to all of her bodily functions working again. She glared at Agent Mortis and nodded. "Took you long enough," she wheezed, crossing her arms over her chest and shivering. Agent Mortis motioned to one of the doctors, who promptly got Carmelita a hospital gown. She stared at it for a moment and reluctantly put it on. She glared at Agent Mortis again. You didn't say Sly would be there. I didn't want him to see that," she snapped. Agent Mortis scowled. "An unfortunate circumstance. However, as we're using a fake faction of the Children of Clockwork as the ruse, Cooper's intervention was inevitable," he said. He shook his head, annoyed with her. "I still don't know what you see in him." Carmelita sighed, looking down at the floor. "It's complicated," she said, unable to fully voice how she felt about the charming thief. Agent Mortis snorted. "I don't pretend to understand how love works. I just think you could have done much better, especially since it nearly cost you your job when you helped him fake his amnesia. But that's not the point. We've successfully faked your death and can begin your training." Carmelita glared at him intently. "And you'll keep your end of the bargain?" Again, Mortis nodded. "As per our agreement, the Cooper gang will have all charges against them dropped. The charges against Chief Inspector Barkley and your assistant Winthrop will be dropped as well for their part in the ridiculous amnesia scheme. We owe Cooper a favor for the cases he helped close for our organization while he was a part of Interpol, so don't feel too badly about this." Carmelita nodded. "I can do at least that much for you, Ringtail. I'm sorry it came to this," she sighed, and looked at the floor again. "So what am I being trained for, anyways? You never really made it clear to me when you got me in on this scheme." Agent Mortis looked thoughtful for a moment and sent the doctors out of the room. "I suppose since we're ready to begin, I can tell you. In 15 years, a contest will be held between the greatest thieves in the world. It only occurs once a generation, and only the greatest thieves on the planet are invited to participate. The artifact being offered as the grand prize is an ancient crown of tremendous mystical power. Our organization naturally would prefer that power be in the hands of the proper authorities, contained and stored away where no one can use it." Carmelita nodded. And what do And you want me to become a master thief so I can be entered into the contest? Agent Mortis smirked. It looked unnatural on his stone-cold face. Something like that, he said, moving to a closet in the room. He opened it, revealing a bright red coat and a wide-brimmed hat. For all intents and purposes, Carmelita Montoya Fox is dead. You will be trained to take the place of a master thief that died a few years back. A woman of such skill that nobody was ever able to catch her. You will be altered physically to look exactly like her. You will be trained and drilled in her abilities and movements, her manner of speech, her various personal quirks, and so much that being her will feel more natural than being Carmelita does now. Your reflexes will be rewired to match hers. Your skill, your mannerisms, all of it remade into her. Carmelita shook her head confused, trying to figure out why that coat and hat looked familiar. Who am I taking the place of? Agent Mortis grinned viciously. She was my rival, the only one I could never catch. The only reason I was able to find out that she had betrayed. The only reason I was able to find her is that her gang betrayed and killed her. Okay, I remember this next part. It's actually kind of funny. Her name is Carmen Sandiego. Carmelita stared at him for a moment, recognition drawing, and then she snickered. Agent Mortis frowned. What's so funny? Carmen Sandiego? Carmelita laughed. You're wanting me to become a fictional character that's used to teach kids stuff? To her surprise, Agent Mortis chuckled. Ah, yes, that was a brilliant bit of cover-up on my part, he said, beaming a little. Carmelita stared. She was real? Agent Mortis nodded. And while some of her robberies were exaggerated, she was just as skilled as she was portrayed in the educational games. She was the best, matched only by Connor Cooper and Arsène Lupin II. I personally supervised the creation of the games. My little bit of revenge on the woman who made my life a living hell. Carmelita stared at the hat and coat, her heart sinking as it finally started to set in. Her life was over. She'd never been able to see. She'd never be able to see her father again. The only way she'd see Sly again is as a rival thief. Her friends at Interpol she'd only be able to see as a criminal. Agent Mortis watched as the sadness started to set it into Carmelita, a tear streaming down her face. Oh, but really funny is if in 15 years in this story, Sly actually enters in the contest as well. I'm calling it. It's hard, Carmelita, but you're doing the right thing, Agent Mortis said, his voice without sympathy. That crown is too dangerous, and you're the only one close enough to Carmen Sandiego in body type and physical ability to make it work. And Carmelita shook her head, curling up on the doctor's table, wrapping her arms around her legs. It's just so much to take in. Agent Mortis sighed, irritated. I'll give you 3 days to recover. I'll set something up so you can watch your funeral. I'll even update you on Cooper's condition, but be ready, as your training will begin soon. Prepare for the roughest years of your life. To be continued. That was a long chapter. Hold on. Yeah, long chapter. I didn't even, in the second part here, I didn't even start in the off the chapter, obviously, because the second part, and it's already over 30 minutes long. Anyways, I really enjoyed this chapter. I remember a little bit from the story when I read it first back in 2011. Not a whole lot, though. Excuse me. But I am glad to finally start reading again, and I hope that it's updated soon as well. So, yes. Hold on. But anyways, though, I'm going to end this video here, because this video is long enough as it is. So, see you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Stay tuned for my reading of Chapter 2 whenever I get around to it.